Welcome to a full driving review of the Tesla Model 3 with the recent facelift. What has changed technology-wise, exterior and interior-wise? We're going to tell you all about it, a detailed tour, exterior, interior, driving experience. As you know, Thomas in front of the camera, in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Here in the front we have the typical round face of the Tesla Model 3, a little bit Porsche-alike, but a very consistent and clean design. Headlamps LED, not too much playing around today in the nice red color, but I think the blue color they have is also pretty nice. It's really easy to configure a Tesla Model 3, that's also one of their schemes, and I think it's a good choice to make it simple for the customer. Here in the lower part you can also see there's one opening right here. I mean, some cooling is needed at some point, but of course not so much for electric vehicle. Biggest technology change is here. There's now a heat pump included, standard equipment, both for Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y. So this reduces the range losses in winter times, like now, because the heating and also the cooling is more efficient. The length is at 4.70 meters, 15'4" or 185 inches, and wheels come from 18 to 20 inch. These are here the ones in between, the 19-inch wheels. 18 would be the standard. Also in the aerodynamic style, I recommend these for the best comfort. 19-inch, somewhat a compromise between comfort and look. 20-inch exclusive for the performance model, but then of course with the least comfort. Only has a standard suspension, not adaptive is available. Here with the facelift, all the accentuations are now in black, or like in a satin black or something. Here, for example, the cover for the camera and also the frames here around the window. This makes a sportier style, and they are also, by the way, in matte black then. And here, especially the door handles, this is quite significant. And this, to me, you know, yeah, it looks sportier, maybe also looks a little bit more premium, so overall I like it. I mean, especially in the blue color, it also looked nice with the chrome accentuation, so before it was chrome. Maybe also a matter of preference, but why not making it a little bit different now? And I think it looks a little bit more, you know, definitely sportier. And, you know, the surface also maybe a little bit more premium. Why not? In general here, strong shoulder area, sporty design in the rear area right there. Also, once again, pretty clean from the whole design approach. Doesn't the red vehicle color look great as a contrast to the white snow? Yeah. Just realized it once again. Here also a very clean rear design, integrated spoiler lid somewhat, and also a very stringent or consistent design here in the lower area. Top speed, by the way, depending on the model you pick, between 140 and 160 miles per hour, so 225 to 260 kilometers an hour. 3 different models available right now. Standard Range Plus with 58 kilowatt-hour battery, and then the says also dual motor. So the all-wheel drive models, either the long-range model we have here today with 75 kilowatt-hour battery in the same battery size for the performance model, just a little bit quicker then, and the acceleration figure, just that you can, you know, very easily remember them, no matter if 2 miles per hour or kilometers per hour. The standard range model, 5 seconds something. This one here, the long-range model, 4 seconds something, and the performance model, 3 seconds something. So that's the easiest way to remember the very quick acceleration figure. That means the performance model with the acceleration figure of like a BMW M3, and this one here, the long range model, with the acceleration figure of at least something like a BMW M performance model or a Mercedes C43. So really impressive as for the performance. Here then, one electric motor in the rear, one in the front, and the standard range plus model, a new one, would just have the rear electric motor. Will also be sufficient. Of course, there's then also the price difference you have to think about, but this one here definitely with the highest range. And not to forget the looks of the daytime running light. Turn it on right here now. So there we have them in the front. And that's how it looks like in the rear. And not to forget the turning indicators here in the front and also in the rear, but super short, right? I wonder why that is allowed. And the charging port on the driver's side, in the rear, this AC charging maximum 11 kilowatt and DC charging and supercharger maximum 250 kilowatt. So now we arrived at the supercharger at Hilden, Germany, one of the most modern ones in whole Europe. Theoretically up to 250 kilowatt is possible. However, you can see that the realistic or the concise charging figure then varies. Here at the moment we are at 130 kilowatt. That is then almost 1,000 kilometers per hour, so it's still quite quick, but considering we recently had with a Porsche Taycan at 240 kilowatt, that's of course less here, although it's a modern supercharger, but there are also other vehicles here around, so it also depends on that. It also quickly drops down now at about 100 kilowatts, so even a little bit slower, but still it's reasonable quick. And the cool thing here, of course, the extensive network of the superchargers. You see here at our station, it's 5B and 5A. There's no one directly next to us, but then a couple of other vehicles in the row here. So it always depends on if your concise charging station then shares the power or maybe the whole thing in itself. But at the moment, we cannot reach the maximum charging, but it's still good, and the supercharger network still out-networks the other brands so far. And at the end of our concise test, we can see the realistic average figures then here for last 10 kilometers, 25 and 50, 16 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, or here then longer term 20 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Will actually average 375 kilometers to 470 kilometers depending on. And we can take a look at the miles figures here. So they vary then also a little bit depending on which average we pick. And that would actually mean some 230 miles up to 320 miles. Let's open the doors for the door closing sound. That's how you open them with the handles, and frameless doors. Yeah, not the best door closing sound, but also no wonder with frameless doors. You can still order a classic car key for your Tesla Model 3 or open and close it with a smartphone, or when you don't have any signal or something, you have always this backup key card and then you put it here at the B pillar and then you can open or close the car with that. Then instead of the doors, nice soft leatherette cover, also here even softer for your armrest, then microfiber insert. This is now really premium style, really cool. Black Model 3 entry badge, then the clean interior, today the black interior. There's also a white one available, I would prefer. Yeah, maybe this one here is easier to clean and so on, but the white one just looks so cool. But here also well done, again clean design. This is all from high grade leatherette, really soft and plush, and you wouldn't feel a difference to the animal skin surfaces quality wise. It's just here the whole car is really vegan. That's really cool. Also the steering wheel for Model 3 and Model Y, that's standard. So finally someone who is really consistent. All Model 3 come with an animal free interior. Better for the animals, better for the environment, of course also better for us. So that's the styling. Would you go for the black or the white seating? Tell me in the comments. And getting inside, most important shoe tab here in winter times, of course. It's actually a nice and standard seating position. I think the seats could be a little bit wider and taller for tall people, but overall still quite okay. The steering wheel can be moved up and down, in and out. I'll soon show you that. And then here headroom with 1 meter 86 or 6'1". plenty of space available because there's this fixed panoramic glass roof. Just the sides gets a little bit more narrow, but height-wise, even with tall people, no problem whatsoever. Interior overview, of course, everything so clean and so calm. That was really cool. Matte wood insert right here, I love that. This being the black styling right here. And yes, you know, when the speed appears in the top left corner, it's not too good to see. Then with the screen here, I would wish I had a head-up display that would solve the issue, but to have everything cleaned up like this also makes you calmer while driving. 15-inch screen here, everything is running over that. I can soon show you more to that. Directly here, by the way, so here you can change some driving modes and so on. You also have a quick control right here, like the adjustments, and then when you have the steering wheel, you can control here the left thumb and here for in and out and so on. So I mean, why not doing that way? And you can also save your setting then for your user profile. By the way, here these buttons here are now metal knurled in this facelift, so it is not plastic like before, so this feels more high class, more premium. Other changes here with the facelift is this middle console. So in the front we have now 2 inductive charging ports for your smartphone, so that's quite helpful. And then there's also in this micro suite, so microfiber makes a good premium impression. And where we had some piano lacquer before all over the place, collecting fingerprints, not looking that premium, it's now like a matte silver finish. So you hear it also, and then some leather red covering right there. You remember everything is animal free in this vehicle. Then you can slide this one open. This is more organized now, like in the Model S or X. Huge hole in the front right here. 2 more USB-C chargers. Then you have a cup holder area right there, but not adaptive. Then this is where you put your your key card that the car can still drive, for example. Sometimes you have to put it right there when the car was not recognizing the smartphone or something, or you don't have the car key. Then this armrest, nice leather cover, well attached, so increased build quality and then more space underneath right there. And to open the voice command, by the way, pretty simple. Here just press the right button with your right thumb and then the voice control opens. And then to the big screen, you have the map right here, and look how responsive and fast that is. That looks like real time. You can also switch it to the satellite view. Always depends a little bit on how much service you have, but still that's actually quite cool. Although this is here an area at the moment without much self-service. And here you can also open the trunk, open the frunk and so on, or the charging port. And here in the driving modes, acceleration, chill or standard, to change that. Steering mode, talking about that when we drive the vehicle. Stopping mode, I will usually set to hold, because then the car comes to a standstill really when you use the one pedal driving, but you can also put it to creeping mode, so when you lift the brake, then it creeps a little bit forward, depending on your liking, of course. You can change so many interesting things here, just the screen brightness, but you can also leave it to auto. You can change it with the voice control, everything. Temperature would be the easiest thing. Change temperature to 23 degrees. And there you can also see how it's, realizing everything. And the music system, by the way, is actually quite nice. I really like it. And when you, nice surround sound. And when you press left thumb here on the, on the left jog wheel, then you obviously heard it. You can pause the music. The only thing, we only have the Bluetooth connection here, so there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I would wish it here in a way, because yes, the system, also the voice input and so on, doesn't make it that necessary, but here for like picking playlists like we know from the Apple CarPlay or something, that is not possible in the same way than here. That's the only downside I can see with this Bluetooth connection. Reaching your recent calls and so on, that works very, very well as well. So everything very well organized, and usually when you set your favorite settings, you do not touch it while driving. Temperature changing while driving here is actually quite complicated, so I would recommend to doing that also with the voice input. What about the rear view camera? Always nice to see, really impressive, great resolution, and here also all over the screen. And another facelift update here, the sun visor is held magnetically right here. So why not? And also here, by the way, this has been before, when you put down the mirror light, and then it's also here magnetically. So really nice. This already feels premium now. And another small update here at the inside of the doors, where you press them, push to open. This now has this symbol that you can easier find where that button is, also when it's a little bit darker. And of course, there's once again the Tesla app, where you can, for example, change the temperature and also use your smartphone as key. You can lock or unlock it, and for example, it automatically locks the vehicle when you move away from your vehicle with your smartphone. There can be one exception in the basement garage when there's no signal, and then you would use the key card right here and then hold it against the B pillar, as I shown you earlier, to open and close it when there's really no signal as a backup. And getting in the rear is also a nice quality here, with soft touch at the inside of the doors, also in the rear. Frameless doors here as well. And you know, to be able to sit a little bit better here, you would need to raise the seat a little bit up. Then I could also fit my feet a little bit better under it. Gets quite close here with my legs. It does fit for 4 tall adults, yes, but again, seat a little bit forward and upward would be better. However, you see here the rear bench is really low, so the angle of my legs here is not ideal. So it works headroom wise as well, but gets really close, and with my head when I put myself a little bit backward. So it works space wise, but not the most comfortable or ideal seating position here for tall adults in the rear, definitely. What's cool is, however, there's no middle tunnel, electric platform, so you can move to the middle seat and have also a cozy seat here, more or less. 2 USB-C chargers right here, and then cup holders. One of the things here, build quality wise, you can still move the cup holders inside right here. This could be made a little bit better. And another quality flaw is there's like a sharp edge at the back part of the rear doors here. So they fixed a lot of things here now with this facelift. Definitely really nice, especially in the middle console area, but still some tweaks here and there they could still do. And as our experience shows, usually they also tackle these things bit by bit. Now to the trunk area, and news here with the facelift, there's an electric motor, so electric tailgate. It doesn't feel or hear most convincing, to be honest, but it's a nice addition nevertheless. The length here is 1.10 meters, that's already quite substantial, and the width is here a little bit less than a meter right here, and of course a little bit more right here, 1.20 meters. But the cool thing is you have this additional storage, and ta-da, secret, you can really hide a full cabin trolley underneath in this area right there. You could also put charging cables there, so depending what you want. And then for loading things through, you have to release the seats from the rear area. Now right here, so not possible from the trunk, you have to go around then to the back seats. And that is then, by the way, about 1.80 meters, so lengthwise really nice result. And even in height with about 50 centimeters, that's quite substantial. Of course, a fastback opening would be even handier, but then you could go then for a Model Y, also in Europe very soon. And this is then here the new tailgate button right there. Makes a sound, and then it closes like this. What about the child safety test? First of all, open it once again and see, yeah, it doesn't make the most sophisticated experience how the electric motor opens that thing, definitely. And then here, yeah, that's proven nice. And that's again how it closes. And by the way, also these rubber seals have been improved, so when it's really wet, when it's raining, that no water is getting inside the trunk anymore. And the trunk, open it from the inside or with your smartphone, for example, and then you have some storage for your charging cables here too. Welcome to Thomas's freezing driving lounge today with the Tesla Model 3 in the facelift version, long range model. And of course, the first thing we have to talk about is the new heat pump, especially here in winter times. And actually, what does it do? it reduces the range losses. So you don't get overall more or higher range, but in winter times, especially when it's like really freezing cold, at the moment -9 degrees Celsius, so way below freezing point, then the consumption is not as bad as it would be usually. And we can see this spike here, in the energy meter. And the car was standing still in the basement garage for a couple of days. It was freezing cold. And the startup, battery, needs to get to the proper temperature, cabin temperature, heating. And that's the thing, with the heat pump, the heating does not take as much energy as it would do without, actually. So, and this is like the worst case. But you see, just after a couple of minutes, it kind of normalizes itself, and then it's actually okay, and it would have been way worse than without the heat pump. And we had this very vehicle before the facelift, so now a little bit more efficient, yes, but in general, but then especially the heat pump here with the winter times. But the funny thing is, usually when we compare summer and winter times, would have been a huge difference. Now, in summer times, we can score like 13 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's like extremely efficient. That's like 21 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And here now in winter times, I did on the motorway like 100, 120 kilometers an hour, like 60, 70 miles an hour in really freezing temperatures, some 17 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that's like 27 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And that's more efficient on motorway for an electric vehicle in winter times than with most other electric vehicles we've been testing in summer times under like normal driving conditions. So once again, the Tesla Model 3 proves to be very, very efficient, if not one of the most efficient electric vehicles on the market at the moment. And you can already see that this normal heating spike now really normalized itself pretty much. And this is where the heat pump is really doing a great, great effect. Once again, the Tesla Model 3, one of the small weaknesses, talked about in the interior part. The build quality still needs some tweaking here and there, but we've really seen tremendous progress, especially then here in the middle console now. So you see they're getting on and on and on. One of the weaknesses driving-wise, definitely the suspension. It's good to have the smaller wheels. Here today, the 19-inch wheels. The performance model, of course, even less comfortable with the 20-inch wheels. They look so great, yes, but yeah, even less comfort. So I would always recommend to stick with the base 18-inch wheels. You do not have an adaptive suspension, just the base suspension, and it's quite, maybe you heard it also now when we have some bumps in the road. It's really quite stiff and bumpy. So 18-inch wheels at least even that out a little bit. So save the money, stick with the base wheels, enjoy a little bit more comfort. It's not that the suspension is super, super bad or something, but if you compare other vehicles at that price, not talking necessarily about electric vehicles, but in general, competitors at this price point, they do a better job suspension-wise. So we see a lot of different other things like software-wise, where they're really on top of the game, and we never have any like lagging software problems here. It's always fast in the infotainment system, never had problems with that. I think once in the Tesla Model X, I had one system crash, but the good thing is then holding both buttons here at the same time, so pressing and holding them for a longer time, and then you do a reset of the system even while driving, and then it was done. So, and it happened once before, and I've been testing I had Teslas for like 12 times now or something, and did thousands of kilometers with it. This was the only problem I ever had. Other than that, software-wise, never had any failure, and it's always right on top of the point. And the voice input also while driving has also been improving, even quite complicated things. Open energy meter. There it is. It's things like this. You can pop up something. I think I managed it once before that I really switched like from this 10 kilometer to 25 kilometer view with the voice command. I think I did that once. So even things that are happening deep in the menu, you can change with the voice input, and that's of course quite impressive. Not to forget, of course, the temperature change and so on and so on. Steering, pretty direct, precise. I think, it feels better now. So in one of the early test rides, it felt really artificial. Meanwhile, I have the impression that I have a little bit more feeling in it and it feels more connected. You can, of course, always change it around just a little bit. So here, that's, by the way, like one thing, doing these things while driving and not with the voice input is, of course, not recommended at all. Really bumpy with that suspension. That is one of the drawbacks. Then here I can change the steering mode, for example, here to comfort. Then it's rather loose, very soft. So that feels unconnected with the vehicle, I think. So rather go with the standard mode. In sport mode, it will get a little bit stronger. And acceleration, I usually leave at the chill mode. So, here 4.4 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 4.2 seconds to 60 miles an hour. This is so fast, and especially if you have co-driver, and you need the chill mode not to stress your passenger. So usually leave it in chill mode, better for the consumption or the energy consumption, and also just chilling more on your body. So of course we can put it to the standard mode when we do another acceleration test very soon, towards the end of this driving part. But here definitely more than enough. So the long range model, of course, all about the great range. Noise insulation, also worked on that. It's not the best in comparison like to the German premium manufacturers when they drive really, really fast. But as long as you keep in non-German high-speed motorway relations, then it doesn't make such a difference. So that's also really interesting. Also in these snowy conditions, feeling quite safe with this all-wheel drive. Even if you have just the rear-wheel drive, there's also electronic stability control, and this keeping the car also quite safe. Of course, always have to think about physics. So even if you leave acceleration aside, at some point you can get pushed out of a corner, and then you have to pay attention to that. Quite silent when we're standing still. So I think the upgrades are also driving-wise really nice. Of course, technology update with the heat pump is the most important technology update. Other than that, also when I'm driving here, this new middle console appears a little bit calming to me. So it's nice to see the improved build quality there. It also, to me, always has an effect on driving. Here, by the way, and also when I accelerate a little bit harder, slick surface, no problem, really good grip as for that. And even here in the chill mode, when I'm going like from 40 to 80 kilometers an hour, there we go, that's it. So really quick, even in the chill mode. So you can always also just stay in that mode. Open energy meter. That's too easy. And there you could see we were going down the hill, used some recuperation. Of course, this car is rather set to a one-pedal driving feeling, strong recuperation when you lift the throttle. I hardly ever use the brake in this vehicle. And then when I do the acceleration, you can see a hard acceleration almost equals the high energy consumption when we were heating the battery just from standing in this very cold temperatures for days, and then needed to. Well, interesting, the left lane here, which I'm usually driving, is totally snowed in, so I have to stay on the right lane. Yeah, why not? Very interesting. Here in this construction site is always the hardest test for the assistance systems. Sadly, we do not have a blind spot monitor in the side mirrors. I would like to have one with any Tesla. I think head-up display and blind spot monitor in the side mirrors, that is something I'm really missing with the Tesla vehicles in general, and that would definitely be a great safety thing. So Elon, when you're listening, maybe rethink that. You have like visualizations when a car is next to you or something, and then you also have a beeping sound, as for a blind spot monitor. So when you're about to turn and there's someone approaching, you have like dirt, but still a visual sign in the side mirrors. We always have that with almost all new vehicles. It's a really good thing. And here you can, with one press, you can set a normal cruise control and then adjust it here with the right thumb. Or if you do there we go, pressing twice, then also this so-called autopilot is being activated. Yeah, keep your hands on the steering wheel all times, so it's not like a completely autonomous autopilot. You see the car is steering itself, and even so far, yeah, I mean, a little bit nervous maybe, but it's also really hard now with the snow and not really distinctive with the lines and so on. But so far, huh? You want to go? There we go. Always take care of each other. So many times, you maybe not from here, and you think, oh no, that's not the way I want to go. So everyone just be calm and let people in, even if they decide like short term or something. Most of the time they don't mean any harm. Especially in Germany. I'm not sure where it is everywhere else, but so many times people try then to teach people like, oh, you have to drive differently, and then they cut people off as like a punishment or something. Oh, come on, give me a break. So now back on the motorway, we can put in the autopilot once again. Traffic sign recognition. The traffic sign recognition, I have to say, is not really that reliable. Not sure if it's just because it's only relying on map data, but so many times didn't really properly recognize which correct speed there was, and I had to adjust myself. And then it's always like setting the cruise control on that speed of the traffic sign, and that's a little bit annoying then when it's not the proper speed for that. But here, very well kept in lane. As for this lane keeping assist, so I think also good result there. Good also to have now the metal knurls here at the steering wheel, so feels also more premium while driving. And here, like closer to 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, still reasonable noise insulation, so feeling good with that too. Now getting off the motorway, because we want to have a proper acceleration on the motorway again, towards the acceleration climax of our driving part here for today. Comparison to the Tesla Model S, by the way, this of course it feels more handy, sportier, lighter and so on, smaller. However, the seats are a little bit smaller as well, so you have to bear that in mind. I mean, that was also something. Now let's go to the standard acceleration mode, and luckily here motorway is also properly cleaned, so we can also accelerate it out. And you see the speed right here, and you can see, like, once again, I mean, this is like power-wise like a C43 or like a BMW M340i. So now from 30 kilometers an hour, we accelerate it out. Let's go. That's 180 kilometers an hour. Wow. What explosive acceleration, especially from get-go. And here, by the way, at higher speeds, we now hear some wind noises here. So that's not where the car is laid out to be. There, the Germans would still be better. However, let's see that when we drop to like a normal motorway speed, like 130 kilometers an hour, 80 miles an hour, yeah, that's totally fine here. And that's, they are building the cars for that. They're not building the cars like BMW to be silent at 200 kilometers an hour. And I think that's also not a bad thing, because when you count the Tesla Model 3 customers worldwide going 200 kilometers an hour, like maybe use one hand, So I think that's totally fine. So far, it looks so cool when these the traffic signs have like ice drops on it or something. So different driving impressions for UV today, and I think it's always cool. We recently had that with the Porsche Taycan, where we have one review like in hot summertime and one review in cold wintertime, and also can compare the results and have totally different driving impressions. That's really cool. So you can also tune into the video description here and check out the Tesla Model 3 long-range summer review. There we did not have a heat pump, but that didn't matter so much. Of course, it also increases the efficiency of the AC in general, but in winter times it will make more difference. Once again, we can go to the energy meter and check that out. And see, once again, you see the harsh acceleration. And then, of course, when we do like this, you know, winter times, heating, and then really pushing it all the way through, we have like over 30 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Understandably, you know, so that's also, you have a high fuel consumption when you floor out the combustion engine models. Ambient lighting is also something that is missing with this vehicle. We see nothing besides the bright screen. It adjusts, by the way, also at night time. So depending on the clock setting and so on, you can have it to auto adjust. That's also a nice setting to have. But still, on the long run, we're still in a good consumption area with like 23 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers for winter times. That's still okay. It just gives you some consumption inside. The car, again, feels really handy. We had it in the performance version, also on the racetrack. I still think it's a great track vehicle when you put in a stiffer suspension for the track, for example, or like an adaptive sport suspension, like third party or something, if that's possible. Then it would be ideal track vehicle, also with low maintenance cost and so on, using all the brake recuperation, you know, again, off the throttle, not using the brakes. Perfect. So this is what you learn also when driving these vehicles. So in this case, you know, I just like, you know, by my subjective feeling, you know, I was like, now can right in stop of the line here, just by leaving the throttle. You just somehow calculate in your head and in your stomach somehow, and then you get a feeling for that. Because when you start driving electric vehicles with a recuperation, maybe like you come to a stop like 10 meters before, and then you have to crouch further, creep further a little bit, or maybe you get too far and need to use normal brakes. But in this way, it's of course really perfect. And once again, also great acceleration out of the corner. It's really so much fun, really awesome. And we'll get on the motorway once again, and then we do like a cruise control wintertime consumption test. So I can also show you, like, I mean, talked about the heat dump now and theoretically, and about some previous experience now over the last couple of days and so on. Then we did like the acceleration, which you can see here. Now we then go back to more, you know, subtle driving and see, you know, how that turns out. Well, my seat is also heated enough, the cabin is also heated enough, so I turned down the temperature just a little bit. That's fine. And to me, it's really cool to see both for the S, for the X and the 3, how they have been evolving over time. And basically we have all Tesla models like every year once, or every 2 years once, when there's like a substantial change. So when you're subscribed to our channel here, then you can always follow how Tesla is evolving. So we've been testing the Tesla since 2012, and then really constantly with the upgrades, and seen so many changes, even if the base vehicles remain the same. And it will also be the same then when the new facelifts for S and X will be coming up, of course, very soon here on our channel as well. Now getting on the motorway again, lane change also nice. So when the road is even and there are no bumps in the road, then the suspension is actually quite nice. So no problems with waves or something. It is rather set really on a sporty note, I have to say. And you have to bear in mind the battery pack in the center, lower part of the vehicle, low center of gravity, good weight distribution and so on. So that makes the car really sporty. And you buy a normal version of this vehicle and already basically have a sports version, which you have like in Z, like with C43, Audi S4, or in the BMW M Performance model or something. Once again, now here in the tunnel. Then at daytime it can get a little bit bright than here with the screen. You can turn down the brightness, but let's see. Turn down screen brightness. Awesome. That's really cool. You know? So this voice input here is evolving and evolving. The Android-based one with Volvo is of course very cool as well. There's unlimited speed now. But that Golf also doesn't drive too fast, so I think we'd rather keep it steady than we've shown you that one acceleration. Increase screen brightness. Here we go. So once again, setting cruise control 100 kilometers an hour, and then let's see to the energy meter once again. There we go. So then you can see how that levels out, and we're in a very nice energy consumption area once again. 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour is often also typical speed at city closed highways. And there once again, noise sensation is actually quite okay. Roundabout visibility to the rear, sides, can't complain about that. Besides what I said earlier, blind spot monitor would definitely still really nice thing to have. And the head-up display, because when you have that central screen with the Tesla Model S and X, I think it's really better than we're having a speed here, because yeah, it is close to your line of sight somewhat, but still you're looking over a little bit. So I'm not too happy with that. It is in an area where I can still say it's okay. Again, we don't need the second screen right here if you would have a head-up display. And a lot of Tesla fans have been waiting for head-up displays for a long time. Not sure if we will ever see it, maybe. The thought behind it is also when it's getting more and more to the autonomous driving, then maybe you don't need it anymore. That is another thought, definitely. Yeah. I don't know. What's your take on that? Please leave your comments to that right here. Then also quite relaxed once again here on the motorway. Can also activate the autopilot again, and I can also have the assisted steering. And here now, again, keeping synchronized, nice visualization as well, so you guys can also follow that, what the car is actually doing. Well, there's no line here on the right side now. Just the snow. Okay. Couldn't put my trust in that one, so if it would be off on the right side in the snow, that would have been too good actually, so leaving it with that for now. Now when we go downhill, by the way, I think during this driving part I have not used the brake for a single time. That again speaks for the good recuperation as well, and even if we're just going downhill just a little bit on the motorway, it's doing quite nice job with the recuperation, and you hardly feel that. You can also set it in a different level, but when you're getting used to electric vehicle driving, you usually get a feeling for driving with a strong recuperation, and then you also want to have it that way. Now, for example, I'm using the brake for the first time to cancel the cruise control. So I was using like the disc brakes, I was just using the brake pedal for the electronic command to cancel the cruise control. Yeah, so it doesn't count as using the brakes, right? And if I don't want that strong recuperation, I just stay on the gas, which is not the gas, a little bit, to keep the recuperation lower or to let the car rolling. So that's then how you drive it. For example, that's what I'm doing at the moment, because when we're going downhill, there would be even a stronger recuperation. And when we get to this green mode here, green level, in the energy meter, that means that was like pure recuperation. We did not lose any energy, we just gained some energy back. Then we can see we are back to a really efficient fuel economy. We were driving uphill first, we also had some acceleration, but now downhill of course. And then the overall consumption figure you see once again goes to an area where I can say for winter times for an electric vehicle, that's really, really impressive. Even though we have the acceleration parts in that. Come on, we still make that yellow traffic light. Oh, now it's getting a little bit more winterly here. So we're still in the standard acceleration mode. Let's see when I hit the throttle here. Yeah, a little bit rear spin at the rear I felt, but then catching up with the all-wheel drive, getting enough grip. So also good performance right there. Of course, electric all-wheel drive, there's no mechanical link. So front and rear axle all play together electronically. You can use it very, very well. So now when we're driving downhill, 12 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers. That would be like the summer consumption. Now we go to a longer projection, and then it evens out more like towards 20. So overall, really good result. Once again, been a really nice ride in Tesla Model 3, feeling very safe and calm and collected. I also, let's say, change driving mode to chill. This command is not available yet. Okay, so go to the right lane right over here. Yeah, I just love snow riding. So this obviously does not work yet, but maybe at another stage or something. Acceleration chill now, that's totally fine, that's enough. The snow has hardened up, and that also makes the suspension appear really, really stiff. Of course, that's like a fierce test now, but that's what we do on Autogefuehl. That's also the reason I wanted to go out in this weather here, no matter what. Whoa, this is like really bumpy right now. But that's a little bit unfair now. Again, when the road was a little bit better, it was also appearing a little bit better. If you ask me, by the way, what's the most important thing driving in these conditions, winter times? The best tires. So in a lot of rural city or warmer areas, you will be fine with all season tires. But when you really have snow and ice conditions, then a pure winter tire will still have a great effect, and you really need it. In some countries, of course, also by law. Okay, the Swedes and the Finns and so on, and all our fans from Norway, they was like, these are winterly conditions? Oh, come on, give me a break. When they have problems, like, come on, I put some more spikes in my tires and that's it. But countries and temperatures and areas from all over the world. So we have to find an average at some point. But of course, always great to have a lot of feedback on our driving parts here, also really from all over the world, from different driving conditions right here. So we're back in the chill mode, and now I want to wait for the energy consumption meter. Yeah, like a 25 kilometers run. Yeah, just confirms. Really interesting to see that. Usually when I'm driving the vehicle, I'm not paying so much. I'm really rather pay attention to the road, but it's really nice to have that to give you some current updates for driving, especially for electric vehicle fans. They really pay attention to that. So here in the Model 3, I don't have any range anxiety, especially now with the update and so on. What you have to calculate with here in wintertime, especially when you leave the car at home, standing still in the basement garage or something, it will lose some energy over time. It will, like rinse a little bit, but not literally, but just bear in mind that when you leave it still for a month or so, you will definitely lose some substantial couple of percentages. So it's also good to, maybe keep it powered, for example, or to power it sometimes, a little bit sliding in the corner, but still keeping calm and collected. This is a mid-sized vehicle, so it's not too hard to control. Actually, this increased weight more puts the pressure to the ground, so for these conditions, it's actually not too bad to have more weight here from the electric vehicle. And what I always say, and some people might forget here with the electric vehicles, driving in winter times, always like, oh yeah, the battery, drains so much, cold winter times. But bear in mind that with our combustion engines, when we start them up in the winter times and everything is cold and all the fluids and so on, it's not doing any good for the engine, But here the electric vehicle doesn't care about that so much, So when we do like a startup and just start driving in the performance way, for example, it wouldn't hurt the car so much. When you do a cold start on the combustion engine and hit the throttle, you're basically destroying the engine, especially when you take a look at that long term. But here with the electric vehicles, when you can charge them properly and even maybe like able to preheat them in your basement garage and so on, and you don't have the range problem, then they're actually even better vehicles for winter times if you think about long-term maintenance. And now to our conclusion for today with the Tesla Model 3. In the EV market, surely still among the best mid-size sedans to pick. Why? First of all, because it is so efficient from the electric drivetrain and the software is really great. Always up to speed, so many things you can do and really good voice input. With the new heat pump, also the range losses in winter times are definitely reduced. It will still make a massive difference if you drive an electric vehicle in summer or winter times. That's for sure. But considering we had really freezing temperatures, the new heat pump really did a very good job. Then exterior-wise, with these new black accentuations, I think it makes a more premium and sporty character. And especially like that we have less piano lacquer on the interior, more matte surfaces, micro-suite for the inductive charging box and so on. So once again, they stepped up the game. There are still here some tweaks here and there they could do, but we see it is happening. They're improving the model bit by bit by bit. And so far, really, on a very, very good track. The seats, I think still, for tall people, they could be a little bit larger and offer a little bit more comfort, but it's not that they would be uncomfortable at all or something. So, I think a very good job here with the Tesla Model 3, a very likable car. More and more people have been going for this one in the EV market. And if you go for the new Standard Range Plus model, you can already get a decent range, but at a lower price. Here the long range model, of course, for the best range possibilities. And you can, as I said earlier, score these maximum range figures like 550 kilometers, 450 miles, maybe even a little bit more in summer times if you drive steady and so on, or maybe in city. But here still in winter times, we can also go for like 450 kilometers or 350 miles with the help of this new heat pump. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. Leave us your comments to the Tesla Model 3. Also tune into our summer review. Check out Tesla Model S, Tesla Model X review, the Polestar 2, the competitor, for example. See you there or see you at our very next Tesla review.